Greetings, everybody. We're back here again with another episode of Unheard. This is episode 3. Thank you guys for those who have viewed us thus far. We have been getting some encouraging feedback. So we think that, we're doing something worthwhile, and we are encouraged to continue.
That's right.
So here I am yet again, Verol Billett, and
I'm Jason Henry.
we're here again to talk about man things, as in issues related to men by men, how we see it, sharing our views, our opinions, and based on the fact that we are psychologists, we have a little unique insight on into some of these matters, and they're all related to how or all related to health, pretty much mental health in particular. But as the saying goes, there's no health without mental health. So that will all be in the mix, and we hope you stick with us, share your own views, your opinions, and share, like, subscribe, and comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Verol. So today's topic is Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to the fathers out there when it's coming up, because this coming out on the Friday before,
Yeah.
right?
And also, June is Male Mental Health Awareness Month.
That's right.
So I think it's a good time to talk about fatherhood and what that really entails
Maybe that's why they put men's mental health in
in
June,
June.
because it's also Father's Day.
Mm,
Good thinking. Good
interesting.
thinking, whoever did that.
All right, so I guess jumping into it.
Right. Uh so I guess like it's almost like addressing the elephant in the room. But when it's May, when it's Mother's Day, you see a lot of the joy and the comments and the statuses.
Weeks in advance, you're seeing baskets and different things lying up on the street or in stores. Mother's Day is coming up. What you buy for your mother? What you prepared for your mother? Mother's Day deals and so on.
Capitalism is definitely, loving that.
Alive.
Yeah.
And concerts being put on for the mothers.
Yes. Yeah.
No, and it has been a long-standing thing. What happens for Father's Day? Why don't we celebrate fathers as much as we celebrate mothers? For this year, I have seen a number of deals, Father's Day deals.
I saw
Looking at,
one.
I've seen a number of places advertising like uh, trimming,
Like barber stuff?
barber stuff,
Okay.
massage,
I saw like a
manicure,
restaurant one.
pedicure, and I think I saw only one uh, Father's Day concert. Yeah,
And who that involved?
I'm imagining the place now where I saw the um the poster. I think it's that at the stoplight down Balmoral Avenue turning on
Oh,
to
Maxfield?
Maxfield.
Yeah.
I think there's a big poster there with some big man
Okay.
big man singers. I
Okay.
can't remember I think Fab Five is a part of it,
Okay.
and some other big, like,
Oh, like classic, like
Jamaican.
George Nooks type people,
Yeah,
them there, John Holt people, them there. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
right.
that makes sense.
So I saw that, but still, in comparison to Mother's Day, it's not as much.
No, not at all.
Mhm. So
So why does no one
why does
celebrate?
that happen?
Why does no one celebrate Father's Day?
Is it why people don't celebrate Father's Day, or why people don't celebrate Father's Day as much?
All right, fair. It's not as much. People do celebrate it,
Mhm,
but I think the what are we talking, media or social media or
mhm,
just even like anecdotally, people
mhm.
don't really talk about it as much.
And I can tell you that fathers feel left out. They feel cast by the wayside.
I will say one thing. I understand why people don't celebrate it too.
I think I have an idea as to why Mother's Day gets far more attention than Father's Day. But let me hear what you say first.
Well, if we're going to talk about the awkward things, well, partly the fathers are just not as present. That is really a big reason. There is, sorry to cut you, but there was just the fact that there's a certain responsibility that tends to be on the mother because she's the one bearing the child, and men believe that if I want to leave, I can.
Mm. Yeah, historically speaking, men have not been present or as present as the mothers. Uh, we grew up. It has been said that historically, Jamaica is a matrifocal society, so a lot of focus is on the women and women rearing the children, the women putting out a lot of these efforts.
Hmm.
Men are just breeders. Men just come in, have
Hmm.
pitney, yes, or this, or this, or this, or and
Hmm.
women have the pitney them at them foot, tying on them skirt tail,
Right.
going around and doing that sort of thing. However, from my perspective, it overshadows the fact that we do have good fathers out there. We really do. Present, want to be present, and they're the ones who get left behind.
I'm gonna go back to devil's advocate, unfortunately, because even some of them that are there sometimes don't really do a great job. And I've even heard, some people say, um, maybe it would have been better if he wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Right? There's a certain overly aggressive thing. In addition to some being abandoning, some are too aggressive, some are emotionally stunted, and
Hmm.
some are abusive, neglectful. Right?
Right. And I think I should clarify what I mean by present. It's not just being an ATM and shelling out money
Right.
or making sure that there's a roof over the head of the family. It's not just about showing up just to punish, and I'm using the word punish intentionally versus discipline and correction. Because in many cases, when a father steps in, or you hear, I mean, I tell your father, and the father steps in
That's true.
to correct the child.
To discipline the child.
If you think about it, it's really abuse
Yeah.
because it leads to broken bones, bleeding, boxing down, thumping down,
Distrust.
all of that type of thing.
Not really using words to
Right.
really convey, like really just expressing yourself with words. It
Yeah.
has to be, I don't like this and I'm gonna hurt you physically so you understand that, and
Yep.
tie my dislike of something to
Mhm.
physical pain.
You have to understand yourself. You're a youth. You're like a boy. You're like a girl. Well, not so much girls. I see more with boys, to be honest. You know, getting that sort of treatment, and you have to understand yourself. You have to learn. You're a man. You're a turned man. As a father, I can't make you grow up a certain type of way. You have to learn from early. You get me? So there has been that. And when I mention present, for me, it has to be present means being physically and emotionally present.
Mhm.
Mm. Being physically and emotionally present.
Holding that space for them.
Understanding that a child is a child and there are certain things that comes with that. Remember what it was like for you as a child is also, I think, very important. But be seen as an authority figure who can correct, can discipline, while you love your child in a very
Mhm.
uh, holistic type of way.
And I think that there seems to be this kind of like, you know it's kind of like, there's this like this dilemma where
Hmm.
it's like, well, I can either punish or I can just like be them friend.
Hmm.
Where it's like, And so it goes back into like the discipline and thinking
Mhm.
that punishment is inherently discipline when it not
Mhm.
necessarily. Sometimes it's just
Mhm.
abuse. And so they think if I spare the rod, I will actually spoil the child,
Mhm.
not realizing that the rod could also be metaphorical. It's not necessarily that I have to hit you
Mhm.
to correct your behavior.
Mhm.
The point is correction of behavior because I care about you and I care about
Mhm.
you being able to live your life as an
Mhm.
adult. I
Mhm.
care about you not hurting other people and getting yourself into more problems. These are the kind of explanations that are never given. And
That
so, yeah.
explanation, because I know of cases where the father, the extent of the father's involvement is to punish, or they may see it as discipline, and then the provision of shelter and money and making sure that food is on the table, school go, you get your needs, your financial needs are met. That's it. But there's no bond between father and child. There's no true deep relationship.
Relationship, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that is problematic. Versus, and going back to the question that was originally asked, why is it, Mother's Day is celebrated, I guess, more or acknowledged more than Father's Day?
Mm,
It's because in many cases, or more often than not, there is that deep bond between mother and child.
mhm, mhm.
And I guess that's why. But I find that, to be fair, in more recent times, there's a lot more conversation. There's a lot more spaces trying to create awareness of the importance of fathers in children's lives. It's not, oh, once I have my mother, it's all good. I'm not saying you can't turn out to be a great human being being raised by your mother, because that we have a number of examples of that. But there's something to be said about the value of having a father in a child's life. And many persons who grew up with just a mother will tell you that at some point they questioned, where's my father, who he is, why did he leave me, and feeling that, I guess, a sense of emptiness in that regard. you know so fathers are valuable, and we need to remember that. As fathers, persons who are fathers, remember, you are valuable, and there's a unique contribution that you give to a home.
Mhm.
At the same time, not but and at the same time, those of us in the communities need to acknowledge that fact as well. So we're not supposed to just shove the fathers out.
I really feel like playing devil's advocate
Go
more.
right ahead. Let's do it.
All right. So I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly. The challenge, however, is that there are women, as in mothers, and children who they are frustrated with their fathers. And that's not to say that they're not frustrated with their moms and like they
Mhm.
have absolutely no problems and that, oh, mothers are perfect, ray, ray, ray. I don't think anyone is saying that. I think sometimes when dad can't play his role to a certain degree, mom becomes more frustrated. But then this also kind of stems back to, you know, if you never really got that example of what a father is growing up,
Mhm.
right, or what a parent is growing up,
Mhm.
you see where I'm going with this, kind of
Mhm.
like going attachment styles and stuff. But without the example of how to take care, how to literally be a caretaker,
Mhm.
right? You would really and truly be like, you basically have like two options. Option A, Jano, say, whenever did I get this kind of affection from my father, therefore I will do the best for my son and
Mhm.
and try and like facilitate a relationship that the father growing up never had.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, he is kind of working with it from a place of insecurity. And so unfortunately, he then ends up making either the same mistakes somehow, right? Or the opposite mistakes. So it could be if if there was like neglect, he might be a bit too too doting,
Too permissive.
right? Too permissive, exactly. The permissive parenting on his side. So he may look like the good guy parent, and then the mom is
Mm,
like the tough one
mm.
when there should be a bit more balance there.
I agree with you. I have a thing that I say parents parent based on how they were parented. And what that means, let me repeat, parents parent based on how they were parented. And what I mean by that is you're going to be pulling on examples based on your own experience with your own parents, whether they're present or not. It still feeds into how you see the world and kind of gives you instruction as to what you decide to do. And it's either, as you said, you mimic the behaviors of your parental figures, or you try to do the opposite because you remember what happened and how that
Mhm.
impacted you,
Right.
right? It is one thing, and I think it's important that we acknowledge this. It's one thing to say, well, boy, so my father never did it, or my father was there physically or just financially. Me now make my youth experience the same thing. So me, I gotta do this. So it's one thing to say that, but the other part of it, and I think sometimes that part is missed, is this. Recognizing that you do not have the resources or the internal resources or the capacity to do better and seek ways in which you can learn how to do better. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? So you don't know how to show love because you never have that growing up.
And you only got it from your mom, but you're not a girl, you're not a woman, so you don't want to come off as feminine, and then identity crisis ensues.
All right, Zine. So you're like, all right, I know I don't have this, but the question is the instruction from that is, all right, how do I now go and get this? No, you cannot rely on yourself and say, all right, we need to do this. But that can create some deep anxiety in a man. And if you say, well, I try and I get it wrong. Try the mother frustrated. Try the child. No, the bonding is just not happening. What is going on? What is going on? Whose fault is it? Hmm? We can always find figures outward or say, all right, me had a problem, I can take for myself.
Yeah.
See? Or it can be a situation where you realize, say, yo, you need help, but I don't know where to turn. Or
I don't trust
yo,
anybody,
I'm not ask for help and if you figure this out because man, I'm man.
and I don't want to look incompetent.
I don't want to look incompetent. I don't want to be judged by nobody. Right? So it is quite not straightforward.
It's not linear.
Right? It's
Yeah.
not linear. So
Yeah.
what do we do? As a father, I would imagine that, growing up, you'll be looking for inspiration, you'll be looking for affirmations, you'll be looking for various things. And you want, to turn out to be what you think a man is. But who do you get that inspiration from?
I think so. Right. So in those two types, in terms of like trying to flip the script and do the opposite of what your father did, or option B, just doing what your father did. Some people already have that answer. For them, it's just I'm gonna just do what my father did because it was good enough,
Hmm.
even though what they've really done is just kind of shut down their own needs, shut down their own feelings, and have kind of like rewritten the history of the dynamic that they had with their father, whether there was one or not, and then say, yo, me never dead, therefore I'm fine. And little
Are
Jimmy
you
will be
though?
fine too.
Are you fine though?
Him don't know that, right? Everybody else can very clearly see it, but he's like, "Yo, my good, my good, my good," and it's like, well, everyone else says, "I don't think you're good. You seem disgruntled," and thus I question if you are good. No, I'm good. I have stuff that shows that I'm good, so therefore I must be.
Or deep down they realize, say, yo, I'm not also wholesome. I don't have it all together, but they'll never admit it.
Exactly. That too. Yeah,
They'll
that too.
never openly admit it. But the thing is that the more you deny it, the more you try to hide these mm,
Lack of abilities.
deficits,
Sure, that's the word.
right? It's the more people can see it openly, it's blindingly, right? And I think if we are supposed to, I think I've said this before, I know I've said it in other spaces. As a man, if you believe that your duty is to protect and provide,
Alone.
no, just stay with that.
Okay. Okay.
If it is that as a man and you have a family, your duty is to protect and provide, right? How can that truly happen? How can that truly happen if you don't take care of yourself holistically? Your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and so on. Because the reality is, if you're living in a home with your father, or if you're the father in a home, if you're not well or trying to be well, because nothing is 100% perfect, and you're not generating healthy relationships with your spouse, your children, and whoever else is in the home, I would like to believe that that is going to be a miserable home. People walking on eggshells a lot, and it's just not a healthy space to be in.
I will add two things. So one of the things is that when it doesn't start off bad, I think fathers also are afraid of their kids.
Hmm.
Yeah. And
Say more.
right. So basically it's like I don't want to hurt her. I don't want to hurt him. Let me tackle myself, or let me do less. Let's let the expert do it.
The
She's
mother.
the Yeah, she's the expert. She the mother, so she know how to give love, and I love in terms of support, financial support, physical support. If Martha done somebody, then we will do it. That kind of thing,
Hmm.
right? That's not the mother role. And if the mother tried to play that role, then what the hell am I supposed to do?
Hmm.
You're stepping into my territory. I don't step into your territory.
Hmm.
That's why you should like cook and clean and do all this other feminine stuff that's like in the stereotype for centuries or millennia.
Hmm.
So I can understand the frustration there, but the other part of it, in addition to being afraid of your own kids and you're afraid to hurt them or afraid to disappoint them and wanting to kind of stay away. The other part of the problem, I think, is just that if what they saw growing up is this and then they recreate it, even if it's uncomfortable, it's like, well, it's familiar.
It's familiar. It's familiar. Yeah. All right. So we've been going on talking about the social ills of fatherhood in Jamaica. And I think that has been a long-standing conversation. All right, so we've done that. Can we talk about the positives of, or what we're seeing as positives about
What do good
fatherhood?
fathers do?
Yeah, what do
Yeah,
good
okay.
fathers do? Because I think there are a number of examples now that are seen on social media, in general media, and I think we need to highlight those fathers because most of them still struggle,
Yeah, yeah, of
mm,
course.
but they show up and show up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay? But first off, if we're supposed to say, can we say what a good father is? Is that even possible?
I mean, you touched on it initially when you said presence.
All right, fine. The reason I ask that question is because I don't want persons to get this impression that is there's just one way of doing things.
Agreed. Okay.
Mhm. That there is just this checklist that you should have because life not stays so. Children, li- people as a whole are dynamic, constantly changing, and when you have kids, they have their own personalities. I was gonna say you don't know what you can get, right? They have their own personalities, and so I'm sure as a parent, or I like to believe that as a parent, when you realize okay you're gonna have a child, you have an image in you, or you have start to have expectations or ideas as to oh my god, this little person I'm going to help to mold and create and that sort of thing, and I want him to turn out to be. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
But when life happens,
Mm-hmm.
it's not smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, presence, being present in every wonderful sense of the word present. But I think even to be before you can be present, you have to be present with self
Yes.
awareness.
Yes.
Yeah. How about having or developing healthy communication practices?
Yeah. That as well.
Mm. It has been said that men are not the best communicators.
Who said that?
People,
Where was it men who communicated that? Some of them?
probably,
Okay. Okay.
right? Probably. And again, it's going to be compared to women.
All
Mhm.
right, so you go. All right.
Okay. Um, but uh, I don't think you need to be the best or the most perfect communicator, but being willing to listen
Mhm.
and share. Okay, how do we work things out if you have a partner? Whether you're married or not, you're together or not, if you have children, really and truly, you need to figure out how to work together as a team to help raise this child. And I know a number of men who they try their best, they practice this. They're not together with the child's mother, but co-parenting, they strive to get that down pat because they have accepted full responsibility for this child.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mhm.
So you had listed presence, you had listed um,
Good
good
communication
communication
practices
and co-parenting skills, whether with the partner or not.
or not.
Mm.
I think too, what would be helpful is realizing and accepting as a man, you don't know it all and you need help.
Mhm.
You need to seek help.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
You don't learn this stuff in school. So unless you had like a exemplary example, sounds redundant, of a father, then it is natural for you to have deficits in that skill set. So, yo, you might have to go talk to somebody, read a book, watch a
But
instructional thing, something.
I think that even if your father was top notch, next to perfection,
Mm.
there's no manual that came with the child that you have.
Exactly. That that's a great point. That's a great point. You're right.
Mhm.
That's true.
There's no manual. Because I'm sure my parents had to figure it out.
Mm.
Because no manual came with me. I don't think I was a difficult child, to be
I
fair.
definitely wasn't.
I don't believe I was a difficult child. My parents can confirm that. I didn't get into trouble much. I did my schoolwork. Hey, I'm here, right? Uh, but at the same time, even though I wasn't a difficult child, there were times where we butt heads. I didn't agree with what my father the way in which my father did certain things, and we eventually hash it out safely.
which is the right way to go about
right?
it, is not to like hide.
Mm. And I'm sure he probably had to talk to mommy sometimes
Mm,
to try and figure out what's going on with me.
yep,
Right? And if she knew, she'd share. 'Cause I'm sure they didn't always know either.
that makes sense. Yeah.
But at the same time, ultimately, there was love and there was respect.
Mhm. Okay. I think another thing I'll add to this is, kind of like leaning into something that men naturally do, not even in terms of just like parenting, but just something that they just naturally do in terms of like the will to educate,
Mm.
which sometimes gets spun as mansplaining.
Or
So,
dictating.
right. So, yes, there is a negative way of going about this for sure, but um, men learn things through life and they seek to impart knowledge.
Mhm.
I think as psychologists, that's a big part of what we do, right? In terms of just psychoeducation, that's
Exactly.
literally what it's
Mhm.
called. And so it's important to, I think, men in general, but definitely fathers, like, yo, there are things I learned the hard way that you may have to learn the hard way, but if I can like give you some kind of pointers from now, so
Mhm.
that if that situation were to come up, you have the tools, you have the skills, and you have someone that you can actually talk to and like reason with and bounce
Mhm.
ideas off of and try and find a solution. Because we're all just kind of playing this game of life and we want to try and win it. So you have people on your team.
But I think with that, I agree with you, Jason. And I think with that, fathers, you have a responsibility, or if you want to help to build that bond and maintain that bond with your child, is spending time to get to know your child, spending time, quality time with your child. And of course, I'll hear, but I have to work. If I don't work, then them now I can't provide for them, and so on. What I have heard from children is, yeah, I really like the game console, I like the trips, and so on. But there comes a point where I just wish I could spend time with my father. So life is busy, but know that. But carving out some quality time, and it doesn't have to be expensive either. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just simply say, all right, go put on your shoes, you go for some ice cream at Devon House.
Or just like kick the football in the
Or
backyard
or
or
kick
upon the
foot.
field.
Come out for the game at our time now. Play dominoes. That sort of thing. That helps tremendously. Developing those habits, rituals, traditions between you and your children. And if you have multiple children, hopefully you're able to uh, take them one by one and do things with them individually. And then you can do things with them all together.
You have to manage your time well for that one.
In some cases, I'm sure it may not be possible for more reasons than one. But even if it is just to say, all right, as a family, just me and Uno, mommy stay out of this one, just me and Uno, we're gonna do something.
So in terms of so right, so we have a good list of like the positive things that good fathers do. So let's talk about some of the things that inhibit potential good fathers from actually doing some of these things.
Ah, okay. Uh,
You have something in mind, or should I go?
yeah,
Okay.
mother and father not getting along.
Ding ding ding. Okay.
When the mother and the father don't get along and have their own personal feelings, negative feelings towards each other, it can very well inhibit the parenting, the father having a relationship with the child, especially, and this is what happens in most cases when the child primary home is with the mother. Okay, there's something called parental alienation, where in some cases, the based on the difficult, tumultuous, acrimonious relationship between parents. Uh, so unfortunately, sometimes the one parent, generally speaking, one parent does things, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, that that isolates the other parent from the child and vice versa. And that is an issue. So again, co-parenting, how I see it, if you have a child and you guys are not together, simply put, whether you like each other is irrelevant. A child needs both parents. And so that is now your common ground, this child and the well-being of the child.
Common goal.
Right.
Mhm.
And so if communication simply is just about the child, fine, fine. In an ideal world, and though this is ideal, I have actually seen it where both parents who are no longer together are actually friends, and it makes the situation a lot better. Okay, but I know not everybody has that situation. Most people may not. Most people don't have that situation. So I say, just focus on the child, the needs of the child, the well-being of the child, and let that be at the forefront.
Mhm. So I'll add to that by saying, and honestly, it's kind of similar because it does involve the difficulties between
Mm-hmm.
the battle of the sexes type thing,
Mm-hmm.
where you know if if you as a father kind of demonize women in general,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reality of the situation is you definitely don't want your kids having a negative relationship with femininity itself, just like you wouldn't want your kids having a negative relationship with masculinity.
Mm-hmm.
These are two forces inhibit that are within that are inherent in all of us, right? And so to demonize one, you're demonizing yourself. It literally would make no sense to shove that down, all because you want to look good in the eyes of your kid, and then make it seem like, yes, I'm the good person, I'm the good parent, and the other parent, them are wasters, or they're manipulative. And I'm not saying that
Or
there
a me
aren't.
do this, a me do this, a me do
Right.
this, and them just did it.
Exactly. And so like you end up discounting the pros and the positives of the other parent, just so that you can elevate your own image in front of your children. It doesn't make sense. Like, you have a little daughter and you disrespecting her mother. What are
Mm-hmm.
you really communicating about her own nature, but also in terms of you saying this to your son? If he's gonna date women, what is he gonna exactly do now? He's just gonna think, well, I remember when my father did tell me, say, I'm not to trust my mother. So we just don't trust women,
Woman are
full stop.
wicked.
Exactly. Right. And so when you have that kind of battle of the sexes thing, is a problem. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big problem. And a lot of the times, and this is the great irony, those two people aren't that different.
Mm.
They just can't see it.
Mm. So the other thing I would, so I think, is that is consistency. When you're inconsistent in showing up and in your ability to be honest, that that definitely inhibits good fathering, right? If you see showing up, show up. If something happens and it prevented you from showing up, I apologize. As parents, as fathers, it's important that when you do something wrong, you got something wrong, you did not show up,
Just
you
own it.
apologize.
Just own it.
And again, an apology begins with I'm sorry or I apologize, and it continues with consistent effort to not repeat the thing that you say you're sorry for. Okay? And children, yes. Oh, but I apologize to no. Mm-mm. You're disrespecting them as a human being, full stop.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me jump in. So I think also when they grow up to also disrespect their kids. Like, there's like this hierarchy that's set in now, and it's like, look, I'm on top. You do what I
Mm-hmm.
say. I don't know if you want that kind of relationship with your
Mm-hmm.
children.
Yeah. And also to add, well, another thing to add is putting on, as a father, if you're putting unnecessary pressure on your children and you're not listening to them, that can be very, very problematic. If your child is, for example, real examples here, if your child growing up, they're like, okay, they're doing well in school and so on, and at whatever point they decide to choose whatever career, they're like, I want to be, I want to go into animation, I want to go into theater, I want to go into something artistic,
Hmm.
marketing, or
Hmm.
one of the creative spaces,
Something not traditionally
something
masculine.
not traditional, something that you think that's where the money is, and the other one is
Right.
a greater risk,
Right.
right? And you're not going to be pushing your child into medicine to do medicine, and probably at this point they're probably getting 60s and 70s in the sciences.
Mm.
That's going to pose a problem.
Yeah.
Or if you're a businessman and your expectation is your pitney have to come take over your business, and the child has no interest in the business, that's a problem. That's putting a wedge there. So I'm not saying no, you can't talk to your child and reason things out, but you have to recognize that your child has a brain too. And if you can sit down with your child and reason things out and listen, not just talking about, but listen, that can help tremendously in building that relationship.
Yeah. I think a lot of, and it's not just fathers, parents in general, they project onto their kids.
Yeah.
You know, they want them to be a particular way because in
Hmm.
their mind, this would be, you would be such a great man, you would be such a great woman if you behaved in this way. And the standard is really just the standard of the parent.
And that what that leads to is feeling as if and spending a lot of time in life trying to obtain that approval from the father.
Absolutely.
And that is a struggle for many persons. Getting your father's approval means a lot to many people. And if they grew up in such a way where the your father, you feel as if your father has never approved of anything that you've done, or the love was felt conditional.
Conditional, right?
If it is that you do as I say, then you get the world. But the moment you choose to do something else, I have nothing to do with you.
Yeah, big facts, big facts. Um, yeah, that's I think a pretty good list of things to watch out for in
Mm.
order to be a better father. So, Verl, you are not a father, and neither am I. What gives us the right to say any of this? I'm going back to devil's advocate. Can you tell?
All right. Yes, I do not have any biological children, but I feel like in the various spaces that I've been in the various roles that I've had to take on, I have had to do some fathering of
I see
of
that. Yeah,
children
yeah, yeah.
of varying ages. Okay, and yes, as a psychologist, I've studied, I read, I've interacted, done, I've reviewed the research, But at the same time, as I said, I've had to do some amount of fathering.
Yeah.
I've been called daddy before.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Cool.
Now, there is that. And I'd also want to answer from the standpoint of the fact that I have a father, I'm his child, and whenever born week, so things had to happen over the years. So, from the standpoint of being a child, there are certain things that we've had to talk about. There's certain, I've seen how he operated, how he operates, and I can pull from that experience. So I think that's worth something. And I've also had to talk to other fathers as well. I have, um, yeah, I've had to talk to, in various capacities, I've had to talk to a number of fathers over the years of being in this space.
So it makes sense. You would see all these different, like, I guess, methods, so to speak. People have their own little method in terms of like how they want to parent. So
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Um, but when it comes to, you know, Father's Day and not being a father, we know that there is a certain section of the population who they might be childless, they are men, and people around them are like, what the hell is wrong with you? Where's your kid? What do you
Mm-hmm.
say to people with that struggle?
Well, using the language, it's called being a gelding, step on the gelding chalk. My thought on this is it is used to, in some spaces, joke around
You want
or
to get
to,
into like the etymology on top of it?
all right, the etymology, where it come from. It is used to this, it's used to refer to horses, ponies, animals, just animals in general, to be
Mhm.
honest, who have been castrated and they can't reproduce, right? In the Jamaican space, it is usually seen as a derogatory term referring to those men without children. Mm. Now, how I see it is this: it adds to, it is used to, in some spaces, to joke around, but as I said, it's originally a derogatory term, and it is used to add to the social pressure of what it means to be a man. If you're now a youth, where you do? If you reach a certain age, why you don't have a youth yet? Right? No matter if you don't have a steady partner, a girlfriend, a steady woman you're with, right? From years ago, it was more have as many pitney as you want, start from early, have enough gal,
That's what the Bible said.
right?
That's what I'm not saying that, you know. I am not saying that. I'm not saying that's what the Bible says. I'm saying people say that that's what the Bible said. The Bible says other things too, like be a good father. Somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, right? So from that, yeah, it adds to the social pressure of what it means to be a man. I would say this: in this economy, uh, mm, children are expensive, and you have to check yourself. If we're being honest, a lot of our children weren't planned for.
Sure.
You buck your toe and you get a picnic. We know that's not how it works, but let's say,
Literally does it.
right? Yeah, and you find this, and oh, you're a father. Then we have the situation where men will own up to it if they feel like, yeah, I me do the damage,
There you
right?
go. There's that language again.
Or
Mm.
or they'll say no, and I may alone need their way to go find a father, and I might
Right.
own that sort of thing.
Right.
And the woman, the girl, woman is left on her own. We need to move away from this. There's some men out there who they want to be fathers. Some men, in their younger years, they're not ready to be fathers. Some men, they prefer to be fathers in their later years. And when I say later years, some persons not ready until they're probably in their 30s or in their 40s. It is
Mm,
possible.
mm,
Okay? And then you have some men out there, just like there are some women out there who do not want to be mothers, there's some men out there who don't want to be a biological father. Some of them don't mind helping out with their nieces and nephews, or some of them will actually have godchildren,
mm.
but they don't want to have a child on their own. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are a homosexual or something wrong with them or something of the sort. They just don't have that desire to be a child. And then you have the kickback, or who's going to take care of you when you get old? Well, I'm sure they'll figure it out. Some persons have said, because I've had this conversation many a times, a child is not a pension scheme. They're going to figure it out. Then you have those men who genuinely, based on what's happening with their biology, can't have children for one reason or another. And when we use such language and we cajole persons and we try to I guess in some way demean persons' worth, men's worth because they don't have a child, doing that to somebody who would like to be a father but can't be a father, that's painful.
You're just kicking them. You're just kicking them, and they're already down. They
And they
already
have
feel bad.
no obligation to share with you their personal business. Mm. 1 year again, you're not a use what wrong with you.
It's definitely one of the more toxic things about our culture because it just creates a whole bunch of fathers who are not ready to be fathers, and they're just kind of doing that same old stereotypical, here we go again, toxic masculinity thing of
Mm-hmm.
just like ticking things off a checklist
Mm-hmm.
to prove that you're a man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
these are not the kind of rites of passages that
Mm.
really count because you just end up looking extremely immature.
Very much so. And it seeps into the fathering, right? It seeps into the fathering, tit for tat type of behavior, whether it's between you and your spouse or the just child's mother, or between you and the child. Mm. And it prevents you from actually being there with the mother because the mother, when a woman gets pregnant, it would be great for the father to be there to be supportive along the way. It sets that foundation for what is to come fully.
I mean, you know, the ideal is always the two parents.
Yeah,
That's the ideal.
yeah,
But sometimes, like life happens, and
definitely.
sometimes um, you might find incompatibilities
Hmm.
that prevent two people from staying together. But that does not necessarily mean that they can't co-parent. Sometimes a parent might die or be
Hmm.
incarcerated,
Hmm.
um, and that then becomes something difficult to work out. That masculine presence may not be there as a result.
Hmm.
Um, Thus, people in the community try and like help out. Men in the community may try and help out to try and like kind of instill some kind of like stability because again like it's not we're human beings. We are one of those unique kind of species or unique kind of mammals that pair bonding is super important. We aren't just born, get some milk, start walk on our own super quick, and then just independent like that super quick. That's not really human
Hmm.
beings. That's cats and dogs and horses and etc.
Hmm.
That's not us. So for us to try and like be of the beasts of the field type thing. There's a lot of biblical stuff I'm talking about today. Don't know
I
why.
realize.
Yeah. What is up with that? Don't psychoanalyze me right now. But the
I
point,
won't.
the reason that I bring it up is just because it does kind of dovetail back to like the challenges of just like being a father. And I
Hmm.
think, just to like, wrap up on stuff in terms of like what can we say to help fathers? I want to, well, let me just say one thing. So the one thing I want to say is admit it.
Admit what?
Admit that you struggle.
Please.
Admit. I mean, if you can do just that step, that's a big step. I'm telling you.
I'm going. Our minds are on the same page right here. Admit that you struggle. Admit that it is rough. Admit you don't have all the answers, but you're willing to work to find out. Admit that you are not perfect. Admit that you're willing to put in the work to be better. Admit that you probably need to learn more about your child and not just defer to the mother who is the child's teacher, which school the child go, what grade they're in, when is their birthday, that sort of thing. Know your child. You don't have to, when you go into a store, oh, I don't know what size they are right now.
Mm,
Know your child. Admit that you're anxious.
mhm,
Admit that you are at the point of burnout because you keep on going because you're working very hard. Admit that you need help.
mm. Admit that you're afraid of your kid.
Admit that you are afraid. Admit that you are sad. Admit that you are not happy because of whatever reason. Admit, if I'm supposed to sum up all of that,
Mm,
admit that you're human. Your children will thank you later
mm,
because they'll see you as a human. And coming with that is that there's a willingness to be, and there's an openness to learn how to be better and manage.
yeah.
I think that is such great. There's such great beauty in being able to do all of that because your kids see you as a superhero.
Yes.
Many times they see you as super dad or whatever, but they also need to see that you're working on yourself too.
Don't
Mm.
poison the image of you as a hero with the challenges that make you a villain.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So, all in all, I guess we're saying that I'm not guessing. I know we're saying the purpose of this conversation is really to highlight, yeah, fatherhood has gotten a bad rap over the years. Uh, a lot more focus has been placed on Mother's Day, but we have good fathers out there. We have persons who want to be good fathers, but they're having some challenges. They are human and they need help, and I hope they are willing to access the help. As I said at some point today, that there are a number of different spaces that are opening up and talking about male mental health, talking about fatherhood, talking about the importance of having fathers not just in the home, but being actively present and being a force to be reckoned with in the lives of children, in the lives of their partners, and they're showing up. You know, it's so important. And so, from that standpoint, Jamaica, Caribbean, the world, happy Father's Day.
I want to say one last thing.
Oh, so we can always edit this up.
I don't even. I think we can. I think it's fine. I didn't know you're gonna wrap it right then and there,
Oh,
but there was one thing I wanted to say to the kids who can't wait to be a dad. Chill, chill. Just hold on, right? Um, I know that you believe that you'll be a great father. Um, but it's like I'm talking to my younger self.
Mhm.
It's like there are certain things, and it goes back to what you were saying at the beginning: self-awareness.
Mm.
There are certain things you do not know. You don't know certain things about yourself, and you won't know them until you live a little. Then,
Mm.
when you learn those things, the sobering comes on, and then you realize I have deficits,
Mhm.
right? Just as you said. And then when you have those deficits, Don't be afraid of those deficits, because then you'll just stay stuck, which
Mhm.
again goes back to what you said. And
Mhm.
so ultimately, it's like I literally brought this up because as you were saying, as you're speaking, I remember having this conversation as a teenager with
Mhm.
someone else that was a little younger than me, and they
Mhm.
were talking about how like, I can't wait to be a dad. What about you, bro? Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I remember when I used to say the same thing. But like I still had to like teach myself how to shave because I didn't really get that lesson.
Mhm.
Like, don't go against the grain. It's a
Mhm.
weird thing. Like, why would I think that I have to cut against the grain?
Mhm.
That's how I'm gonna get the stubble. That's how I'm gonna get like the
Razor
sores, the
bumps
razor
and
bumps,
sores and cuts and
right? And to not get that lesson would have saved me probably get some more points with the girl
Mhm.
then, but so I go. But I think it was still important that even just me as like just a friend to a
Mhm.
younger friend, just letting them know about that. Like, yo, when you start shaving, do not go against the
Yeah.
grain.
Yeah.
I don't know if your dad's going to tell you that. I know your dad, great guy, but at the same time, it's like he may not tell you that.
You just triggered a thought for me. Another thing that fathers need to do is to openly and directly say to their children, I'm saying this into the
Oh
camera,
shit! I know what you're gonna say.
I love you. I appreciate you. You are everything to me. You are my world. You are awesome. And any other positive affirmations you can think about out there. I spoke about approval, affirming your child from getting that from your father. Oh God. You know how many people out there who they've never heard their father say to them, I love you?
Several.
It's baffling. I appreciate you. I am proud of you. These words are, it's like, I don't even know.
It's gold.
Hmm.
It's gold, man.
Hmm. Say that to your children.
I know we can wrap up.
All right. So, to all the father them out there, happy Father's Day.
Big up yourself.
I know some of you may feel like, it is less celebrated or appreciated than Mother's Day, but you showing up in your child's life the best way that you can and working to be better means a great deal. We need our fathers in every single space in this country, being positive role models, working to be healthy, maintaining health in all areas of or all meanings or applications of the word, so that we can continue to try and make a difference in this country. We need our fathers. And big up on yourself. And to every single man out there, man and boy, it's Male Mental Health Month. Check yourself, check in with each other, be there for each other, and let's now be brothers to each other, truly brothers, caring for each other. Open up, talk, be there, spend time with each other to be supportive and empathetic. Big up on yourself.
One love.